everyone, Gaz here then from Bootcamp UK, and today what we're going to talk about, is the pros and cons of eating before training. So you've probably heard one expert say you should never ever exercise on an empty stomach. Yet another expert will say to you, actually you should exercise on an empty stomach because it's the best way to burn fat. So today then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the pros and cons of both points. So the pros then of eating before training. There's one primary argument for eating before exercising, and it's actually kind of a big deal. You wouldn't expect to run your car on empty fuel. Likewise, you wouldn't expect to run your body on empty fuel. And that's what food is to our body. Food is fuel. And without it, you risk running into the following problems. First problem being then, sluggish workouts. You can't push yourself, you cannot push your body to the maximum, if you do not have sufficient fuel within your body. So therefore, you're training, you may be going down to class, down to boot camp, you're really wanting to push yourself really hard, but if you haven't got sufficient fuel within your body, then it's physically impossible to be able to get the maximum results out of that workout. Point two then, point two is protein losses. In the absence of other sources of energy, if you haven't taken on board other sources of energy from your food, then your body may need to break down muscle to meet the demand, of the protein losses which you haven't taken on board. So there's point number two, protein losses. Moving on to point number three then. So point number three, low blood sugar and dizziness. So you could be training, you could getting really dizzy, low blood sugar levels, especially if you are a diabetes sufferer, and you haven't taken on sufficient fuel beforehand, your blood sugar will be extremely low. Then with the training, start experience dizziness, and so on and so forth. So the next point that I'm going to discuss then, is the potential of overeating after training. Now this is very hit and miss and has a very mixed feelings towards it. If you haven't ate before training, you then come along to a boot camp class and it's quite a vigorous, hard session. You're going to go away after that session having not ate beforehand, fully exert yourself, and then you are going to go away hungry. The potential of actually overeating then, then becomes far greater. Now, depending on what your goals are, what you're coming to boot camp for, if you're coming to lose weight, you are going to be on a calorie deficit diet. However, if you then have the urge to overeat or feeling really hungry afterwards, your calorie deficit could easily be passed, and then you could be in a calorie surplus, which then is going to stop you from actually losing that weight because you're going to be in a surplus that day. However, that's very mixed. If you are very strong with your plan and you can stick to it, then obviously that's not going to be a problem. However, not everybody has that capability. So the final point which I'm going to bring you towards now then, is the lower afterburn. Meaning that if you technically burn more fat during the workout, you'll burn way less fat after it ends. This is what's known as EPOC. This will come later on in a different video. However, on hindsight of things, the amount of calories that you actually burn during a session is very minimal compared to what you actually burn throughout the day, post-training, etc. Now, if you've burnt a lot of them calories, burnt a lot of that fat during the session, then there's going to be less to burn after, when the majority of the fat burning and calorie burning takes place. But more will come in a later video on EPOC. So, to summarise then, really there's only one pro for eating before training, and that is food is fuel. Without the food, without eating before training, then you may experience some of the symptoms which I've just mentioned. If you've ate a healthy, well-balanced meal within 3 hours of training, when I say well-balanced, I mean sufficient proteins, sufficient carbs and sufficient fats, then you should be sufficient, depending on what you are training for, to then go and attend your boot camp. If you haven't ate a sufficient meal within 3 hours, then maybe you should consider an easy, digestible snack, something simple carbs, a little bit of protein, some yogurts, maybe some eggs, or even some fruits. Give you that little bit of energy, that little bit of spike, so that when you can go to training, you can actually maximise and have sufficient fuel to be able to see you through your training session. Me personally, I like to eat before training, but that's just me. And that concludes Bootcamp UK's first informative video. More videos to come down the line. Guys, if you have any questions, comments, or if there's a specific topic which you want us to discuss, okay, post it below, write your comments, and we'll get onto it. Thank you very much. Speak soon. Bye-bye.